God. Turn the fan. Hey sis, I'm feeling somewhat better, but I'm still fighting off this malaria. It is not easy. I actually was saying malaria and a coup all in one weekend is a whole lot to handle. Hold on, let me turn this sound down here. Okay. Can you hear me okay? Let me know if you can hear me okay. I'm trying to run 2 screens. Child, I'm still struggling along with my laptop. I'm gonna have to just get a new one because, baby, this is terrible. Yes, things have settled down. Hello from California. Hello. I'm gonna let a few more people get in here. I know a lot are coming. I'm gonna let a few more people get in here before I start addressing anything. Hey guys, hey. Y'all please forgive me. I probably sound like crap. I might even look like crap. I don't know because I'm still coming off of malaria and I'm not feeling tip top, but elderberry syrup would help. Actually, when I left America in 2020 and went to Gambia, I had a whole big old bag of Lord, please don't come on here with that. Don't. I'm not the slightest bit concerned. I'm not the slightest bit concerned about Gambia, about them people there, about that foolishness, okay? That person can do whatever they want to do. I'm not the slightest bit concerned. And if you bring it up again here, you will not be welcomed here, okay? Because I don't operate in the past. We are moving forward into the future, and that's that. People that are miserable can stay in their misery, and they can do whatever their hearts desire. Phoenix is good, okay? I'm good. All right, so I got my coffee. I guess we can kind of officially consider this Coffee and Conversations live. Things that are going on here in Cotonou, and we're going to talk about it so that those of you who were considering or are considering Benin will know the state of things and will know what's happening, the safety here, and all of those things, okay? I'm about to kick a couple people off right now. All right. With all the things that are going on in the world, what we don't have time for, and certainly what Phoenix does not have time for, is foolishness. So, if you come here with foolishness, you will be removed. Period. That's it. All right? Keep your questions respectful. Keep your comments respectful. All right? So, let's talk about Benin. I'm trying to see if I can pull the chat up larger so I can see it a bit easier. There we go. Okay, so yes, Janae, as I was saying, when I came with a big bag of dried elderberry seeds, and I would cook up my own elderberry syrup. That way I wouldn't run out. Yes, I do know elderberry to be very effective, but I don't have any at the moment. All right, for those that are just joining, here, let me actually go to my Facebook and hit a couple of extra people and let them know I'm on live. So today, or actually yesterday now, because we're in a different, I'm already into the next day. You guys are still in yesterday. There was a failed coup attempt. Okay. I'm trying to get multiple things going here so I can see and do and let people know. Hold on. Hey, guys, I'm on. Okay. All right, I've let them know on my. Yes, we're live right now. I thought it was important to go live, given what transpired here yesterday, so that I can answer people's questions live. So if you have genuine questions about what has gone on here, then please feel free to ask, okay? Anybody that comes on here with foolishness, I will just simply remove you. I'm not even going to do damage control with that stuff. I'm not. I don't have time. I haven't been doing that. And that's what it's going to continue, okay? So if you're coming on here for foolishness, please know that the one wrong word, you will be gone. Keep it quiet and be a spy. Keep it quiet and be a spy, or goodbye. That's what it's going to be, all right? Yes, we have heard from President Talon. Okay, so let me go through things a little bit quickly and just give you the top highlights, and then we will go into kind of breaking things down in detail. I understand that people will be joining this live at different times, so there's not a hard start time and not necessarily a hard stop time until this malaria in my body tells me to go lay back down. Okay, because it's, yeah, you hear me. Yesterday, or earlier today, you guys' time. So, because this was scheduled for 10:30 p.m. Eastern time, so you guys are still in yesterday. It is now 4:30, almost 4:30 in the morning here on the next day. So yesterday morning, in the wee hours, there was a coup attempt. There were a small faction of the military who wanted to overthrow the government. Why? We'll get into that a little bit later, but wanted to overthrow the government. That attempt was thwarted. However, they did initially successfully take control of the media, television, and radio. And so they were able to put out on national television that they had basically ousted the president, that he had been kidnapped and was being detained, and that he was no longer in office, that they had closed the borders and the airport, and that they were in control. That was not fully true. During the course of the day, we heard there were gunfire around the city, and so we were all sheltering in place. most of us. And when I say it that way, because there are so few American citizens here, but those that I am aware of, I was able to be in contact with directly, and we basically ran a phone tree to be in contact with each other, make sure that everybody was safe. I talked to folks to calm them down. I'm one of the few of the ladies here, if not the only of the ladies here that actually has a military background. And so I was able kind of to talk to everyone, keep them calm, let them know that a lot of things that are happening right now are protocol, okay? So those who were involved in the attempted coup, many of them were escaped, if you will. But what we know now is that there were, I believe, 14 people as of the count since I went to sleep. 14 people have been arrested. The main culprit, the leader, managed to get away, but they are actively pursuing that person and his few people. All of the military was not in favor of the action that they took. And so my understanding is that there was some infighting and challenging within that group of people. And so that possibly may also have aided in things getting shut down relatively quickly. So here's what we know. And I'm going to kind of make some connections here. We all have been watching for some time the activities that were going on in Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso has a very active history of military coups. Well, the truth is that Benin also has a bit of a history of military coups, military coup attempts, though not quite the same as some of the other nations, not quite the same as Burkina or Niger. Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining. Come on in. Not exactly that same history. So this isn't exactly business as usual for Benin. However, I will tell you that there are basically two sort of mindsets here. My colleague Sylvain and I talked about this once, and I don't think that I ever actually posted the video because I wanted to make certain that the tone of the channel stayed positive. But we had a challenge here with a local landlord before we acquired this property that we're in. He was an older guy, and quite frankly, we're still in the midst of that battle because he refused to return quite a large portion of our money, our deposit money. And when I talked to Sylvain and a couple other people, several other people here, my husband and I, and we do have someone that is assisting us in still getting remedy for that matter. But what he told us was that there basically are two mindsets that are struggling here sort of to break free. And that is the old Benin Republic and the new Benin Republic. And what that means is the administration here basically has made all of these changes, all of the lovely things that you see about Benin, all of the lovely things that are drawing us here, all of the modernization and the access and all of those things. That is all relatively new for here. That has all been done within the last 10 years of this administration. And so the majority of the people who embrace it and are happy about it and moving forward in that way are the younger people. The old heads who are used to the old corrupt ways, who were able to have their hands all mixed up in the pot, some of those are not all so happy because, well, just like in America, the people who get money by ways that aren't necessarily the most favorable, they're never going to be happy when you make a change. When change happens, no matter how good it is or seems, there's always going to be somebody who's not happy about it. And so what you should know is that this is a country of laws. There have been very strong anti-corruption initiatives that have gone on. Those anti-corruption initiatives basically took the country digital so that people literally can't get their hands in the pot. They made things like bribery and tips and extortion and all those things jailable offenses. So you can't actually do a lot of the things that people think you can just willy-nilly do across Africa or across West Africa specifically, right? How you can be in certain countries and you can just pay people for things and get them. You can't here. You have to go through the process, and you can't just pay anybody, and you can't just put cash in somebody's hand and they get it done. You have to pay through electronic means. You have to pay through certain channels. You have to have electronic transactional receipts. There is a major cyber crimes initiative here as well. And so you can't just do anything. Benin is moving into a modern era with tech and digitalization and automation and all of those things. And quite frankly, everybody's not happy about it. Okay? Now, I'm not going to get too deep into the political climate and the political scenes, but what has been published already is that this most recent coup was an attempt to destabilize the democracy here. It was supported by at least a few of the AES countries. I am not, I'm metering my words here. I am not enough in the details to know which of the AES countries they are pointing fingers at to say they had hands in the pot. But I will tell you that the sentiment here has been that military leaders, people seem to think that military leaders are the ones who will reshape Africa. And so there are some factions of people who only want to see military leaders in charge. What I have often said about our own past is that Martin, Malcolm, and Mandela were all necessary. And so I think that same sentiment applies to what's happening across West Africa right now, because there are, someone joked online and said, uh-oh, this is West Africa's coup season. We know that there's been a coup in Guinea-Bissau. Also, we know what's going on in Burkina Faso. There has been unrest even as far as Tanzania. We've all seen that online. And what I would say is that there's not ever going to be one singular answer for every place. So while many of us have applauded the actions and what is going on in Burkina Faso with Captain Ibrahim Traore, that is not necessarily the way or the right way for every other country. You understand? And for the most part, the majority of the constituents here, most of the citizens here in Benin, support the work of the current administration. They support President Talon. Now, this is his outgoing year. There will be an election 2026, April 2026 will be the next elections. There are all sorts of people here, y'all, and I'm just going to say it that way. There are all sorts of people here in Benin to monitor the elections, to help to support the democracy, to uphold the democracy here, and to keep the place safe. What were some of the people upset about that supported the action to attempt a coup? Well, some of it is centered around the unrest that is happening at the borders. Benin shares border with two places where major unrest is taking place, Burkina Faso and Nigeria. And it seems that some people exclusively hold the president responsible for being able to quell the unrest at the borders. I had the interesting experience of attending the town hall meeting at the U.S. Embassy at the U.S. Embassy last week. The town hall meeting was interesting on many levels. The main topics that they discussed were obviously security, growing unrest at the borders. They advised all of us to stay away from those northern borders, anything up above Parakou, up towards the north into the national parks. Stay away, stay away, stay away. Interestingly enough, someone asked the question if there was any chance that there would be overflow of that unrest into Cotonou. If you looked at the map and you've seen the shape of Burkina Faso is a small, long country that looks almost sort of like a key. And so up at the northern border is where most of the unrest is. Cotonou, we are down in the southern region. And so what was told to us specifically at the town hall meeting was a bit about the history of elections, even here in Cotonou. And that is during political years, during election years, there has almost always been some sort of unrest. The shocking thing about what happened yesterday is that this sort of came a bit early. They sort of expected it. In fact, they told us to expect that there would be some demonstrations, public demonstrations for various reasons, that there could potentially be violence. And while they, and right now I'm talking about the U.S. Embassy, the town hall meeting for American citizens that I attended. While the ambassador, we met with the ambassador, the national security director, and the consular chief. And while they told us that, you know, obviously we're all individuals, we have our own rights and that sort of thing, they cannot stop anybody from exercising their political freedoms. However, they strongly advised as American citizens that we not get involved in any public protests, demonstrations, rallies, or that sort of thing, simply because there are so few of us here that there's the potential that we could become targets, okay? And so they advise that everybody exercise safety, and that everybody have a plan. When there was notification that there had been gunshots, gunfire at the presidential compound, there was a step notice that was sent out for all of us who are registered with STEP through the American Embassy, through the U.S. Embassy. There was a step notice that went out for all of us to shelter in place, to stay inside, to exercise safety, and that to be prepared should there be need for an evacuation. Now, let's go down that rabbit hole for a minute, because I also want to make something very clear about being an American citizen abroad, at least on this continent, and specifically in these West African countries. There was a tone amongst the staff when we began talking about all of the issues, security issues, things that are going on and all of that, asking questions. Several of us felt like the morale of the staff was very low. Some of the other things they talked about were budget cuts, how much staff they had lost. It kind of felt like many of these people were grieving. They weren't happy about what the administration is and was doing. I'm talking about our administration, U.S., okay? And one of the things that they said without a smile on their face, because there was quite a few things we talked about, they gave us the smile and the nod, and we were kind of all in agreement, and then there was this sort of somber mode that came over the place. And they basically told us that the job of the U.S. Embassy is to support the goals of the U.S. government, and they emphasize the word government, meaning not citizens. They didn't say not citizens, but they said the job of us at the U.S. Embassy is to support the goals of the U.S. government. That's the way they said it. We have to support the U.S. government, okay? Now, if we thought we were just reading a little too much into that statement, when we received our STEP notification yesterday, I have it, I'm happy to post it, or to share it with those that want to see it. You can WhatsApp me, because it's a little bit long and I had to cut it into 2 sections, so I don't know if it'll fit on my community feed. But I mean, it was public, it was sent out public, but there's a portion in there where it addresses evacuation. And basically it says that you should have your own evacuation plan and not, you hear me, not rely on the U.S. government. My husband read it and he was like, this is some foolishness right here. You mean to tell me your own country ain't even gonna try to help y'all if something go down? No, they're not. They're not, and they're not, okay? And so to me, that was a follow-up to what had been said in the town hall meeting. They basically also let us know, we can't force you not to go to the northern borders. We can't make you not go into the areas where there's unrest. We can't make you. If you go of your own accord. But if you go and something happens, don't call us. We're not coming to get you. We have no ability to intervene. We have no ability to be involved in any of the matters. Anytime I have contacted the American Embassy here about anything, they have only ever referred me to Beninese resources. So let me just be clear, wherever you are, most especially if you're in another African country. I don't know, maybe the US embassies are different in European countries where other people go. But in these African countries, they're closing embassies and they're telling us basically directly that we are not going to help you with anything. So you should have your own plan and you should know what you're going to do. For me, y'all, I'm fine. I have a husband. I'm happy with my husband. We live here. And should there be some need for us to go someplace else, then we'll go someplace else. But this one right here, I won't be getting on no plane going back to America under no circumstances. I don't care what unrest happens. This is my home. I'm going to be here. So that is my personal statement. But that's not the same for everybody. And so what I did was what I felt needs to be done here, because the truth of the matter is that there are very few American citizens here. There is not yet a diaspora community. There is not, okay? My husband and I, in terms of being what we would know as the African diaspora, those of us who are being, who are expatriating or repatriating, we're the first ones here. We are the first ones here, okay? My family is in America. They are safe, and they are all but my grandbaby are adults, and they have to make their own decisions. I made my decision to leave and to come here for the reason that I saw in 2019 that things were going to go crazy. Like I said, I have a military background. Now, I'm not career military like my father was, or like a lot of my family still is. But I was raised around that, and I also served. And so I understand on a military and governmental level that when certain things go forward, even if somebody else comes in and takes over, you can't just put things back in place. It's not that way. You can't just pick them up and rebuild it. And so I knew that things would continue to decline. I've told this brief story before, that when I lived in LA, I had a good friend, he's still my good friend, named Giovanni. Giovanni was from Guatemala. We worked together in the apparel industry in LA. He came to America because of poverty and unsettling things there. And his family was not ready to go at the time. And he said he knew he had to come because when the time came that his family was ready, who would help them? Because the truth of the matter is, even then and even greater now, if you don't know somebody on the other side, it almost is impossible to get out or to make the move or to migrate. It becomes very, very difficult. Sometimes you have to have a sponsor. Sometimes you have to have someone speak on your behalf. Sometimes you have to have a name or a number or an address of somebody. They're going to ask, who are you going to see? Who's there that you're meeting with? Who's there that you're going to stay with? Where are you going to be? When things get crazy, you have to have somebody on the other side. And so, like Giovanni, I left when I left because I knew in my foresight that things were going to get crazy and crazier, and that somebody had to be on the other side to help those who were ready to come. That is it truly is my divine calling. That's why I came. That's why I'm on this continent, because I knew that things would get crazy and that somebody had to be on the other side to help the people that I knew and loved when they're ready, right? And so as those are ready to come, whatever I can do to help, I will help. But going back to my statement earlier that Malcolm, Martin, and Mandela were all necessary, I also apply that to this thing of migration. Everybody's not going to leave, and everybody shouldn't leave. Some should stay. Some are called to stay and do what is necessary to either rebuild, restructure, renew that land. Some will be called, like myself, to leave and to help build a bridge. The thing that bothers me is that we can't be doing this. We have to help each other. We have to do this because there are things on that side that we need and things on this side that are needed. There has to be a bridge built. There's more than one answer. And we really have to stop this talking down on people. Like, if you stay in America, somehow you're stupid. And if you leave America, somehow you're a coward and you're running. No, beloveds. There's reasons that people make their decisions. And if you take the time to listen and understand the reasons, many times those things are valid. Who am I to tell people that if you don't leave America, you're a puppet or you're stupid or you're, right, owned by the government or all of that, when folks got their family members there, their mama, they right? There's a lot of reasons. There's a lot of reasons. The only question I will answer about my daughter is this. My daughter's child's father is there, and he has no desire or plan to leave that country. And he's a good dad. Unlike a lot of black men, some black men, I won't even say a lot because they get a bad name. There's a lot of black daddies that are active and in their lives. And my daughter happens to be one who appreciates the fact that her daughter's father is a good dad. And she's not trying to just jump ship and take the kid and leave him there and break that relationship. So for a lot of people, there are multiple reasons why just deciding to get on a plane and leave is not an easy decision or not the right decision for them. And that doesn't make them, right, bad or wrong or any of those things. We all have to, as my grandmama used to say, every top got to stand on its own bottom. You got to decide what is the best for you. As it pertains to what happened here in Benin, what I can tell you is that we're safe, that we're back to normal. The kids are back outside playing. We are, I believe, still waiting for notice of the airport being open. The borders are closed and the airport is shut for obvious reasons. You got people who tried to overthrow the government on the run. They ain't trying to let them be able to just get on a plane or cross easily. So just like you do when there's a theft or something like that, you lock the doors, baby. You lock the doors. You shut things down and you stop movement. You stop movement for a little while and you make certain that everything is good. However, that said, we have already heard. You can go online and look. If I need to repost some things, I think I reposted the national, the Minister of Interior's address to the public. I reposted that on my TikTok. He spoke to the country and to the world and let us all know that everything was under control, that the government was in control. They had regained control of the media, television, and radio. When I say regain control, gotten it out of the hands of those people. The government here, to my knowledge, does not actively own or control the media. However, since the people, their effort to stage the coup was started by taking control of TV and radio, the government let us know that they were in control of that. Okay, I have been on the continent now 6 years. I have been here in Benin for just over a year now, about a year and 3 months, going on a year and about a quarter. Okay, here actively residing, living here in Benin. The president is safe. We have heard from the Minister of the Interior, and we've also now heard from the President, who has addressed the people. He has shown himself. We know that he is alive and safe, and all is well. There is obviously heightened security. Some of the ladies here were a bit concerned because now they're seeing a lot more police on the street and that sort of thing. Well, of course, you are and you will. You will see more security right now on the street, in the same way that right after 9/11 we saw cops everywhere. Everything was shut down. You couldn't quite move as freely and that sort of thing. So what we have not yet gotten is any further response from the U.S. Embassy sort of giving an all clear. And one of the sisters contacted me and said she was concerned because we hadn't gotten an all clear from the U.S. Embassy. As I said, I'm sort of aware of protocol and things like that. And I said, sis, we're not going to get an all clear from the U.S. Embassy anytime soon, because they have to follow the directive of the U.S. State Department and the U.S. government. And they have now deemed Benin to be unsafe or whatever, and they've said, don't go there, don't go there. And so they're not going to be quick to take that back, right? So if you want the most current and accurate news about Benin, you will be watching Benin news. You will be looking for Benin officials to make public announcements. That's also the reason that I decided to do this live, so that you guys could see me, that you could see that I'm here, we're in our house, we're safe. We've been outside, we walk our local neighborhood. We live in an area, it's just like being in a subdivision. The kids are outside playing, well, they're not right now, it's 4:30 in the morning, almost 5 o'clock in the morning. But the very same day of the thwarted coup attempt, the kids were outside playing and that sort of thing. Yes, absolutely. The State Department warned you not to go to Benin. And quite frankly, sis, they're looking for reasons to tell people not to come to Africa. Benin has a stable democracy and has for quite some time now. And because, okay, if I can be honest, and this part is my opinion, this is my opinion and my observation, okay? This has not been said anywhere officially, so I've made my disclaimer. But if we are paying attention, let us understand that the U.S. government has its hands in all kind of stuff. And quite frankly, they have got their hands in, we all know they've made it public that they have expressed, I'm gonna say it politically correct, they have expressed an interest in Nigeria, supposedly under the guise of being concerned about the unrest in Nigeria. But we all know it's not about the unrest. They don't care nothing about the people over here, because they don't care nothing about the people in America. So you guys are all, the whole world is foolish if they think that Mr. Dumpster's administration is concerned about people, any people in Nigeria, because they ain't concerned about any people in America. So what makes you think they're gonna come over here and be concerned? Right? They're not. It's about the resources, the natural reserves. Right, exactly, sis. They absolutely are. Okay? So with that said, I told you at the top of this that we have learned that the main motivation behind the coup attempt here is to, or was to, destabilize the democracy here. Because we are surrounded by countries that are basically being taken over or run by military leaders. So there is a clash between those who are of the old school military leader mindset and those who want to continue along the path of a modern democracy. okay? That's the next thing. Then let me see, somebody asked a question about the safety here. I've always felt safe here. I feel safer here than I do in America, quite frankly. When I went back to America for a few short months, I was traumatized. I was having anxiety attacks left and right. Heck, I can say I didn't even feel safe riding down the highway. I was like, these people are crazy. What happened? I actually used to live here. Like, I could not wait to get out of there and get back to Africa. So it might sound crazy, but even less than 24 hours of going through what was a failed military coup attempt, I still feel safer here than I do in America. That's the truth. Ain't nobody trying to shoot me here. I'm not under active attack here. The worst thing that I experience here is that sometimes the people who sell stuff want to charge me a bit more because they think I got more money. But if I want to go outside and take a walk at 11:30 at night, I can. I'm safe. My husband's not concerned for me. He does the obvious things. Either he wants to get up and walk with me and say, yeah, that'd be nice, let's go take a walk. If he's not feeling like it and he's in chill mode, he'll say, well, babe, where you going? I say, I just need to walk a little bit, get some exercise. I'm gonna walk around the block, walk around, go out on the main street and the shops are open. We're in the city, so we're in an area where there's a very thriving nightlife. So it has to get really, really late before everything is closed up. So I can go out and take a walk. I'm a walker. 6 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes it's barely light outside. I can get up and I can go out and take a walk, and my husband is not concerned for me. I'm safe. There are people out. They're safe. We speak to each other in our passings. Good morning, right? How's your day? That sort of thing. Obviously in French, bonjour. Yeah, so let's see. What are you saying? You heard? Yes, and when I say out there, let me just say that that is in a lot of West African countries, but it's not so prevalent here with the overcharging. And that is because of several things that have happened here with the administration. So let me explain that to you. Unlike a lot of West African countries, Benin has a minimum wage. Benin has a working minimum wage. So most people that have jobs, if they have a job, they have a respectable living wage that you could make sure you have a home, you can pay for your house, you can pay for your rent, all of that, right? There is a living wage here, and there is a required minimum wage. Another thing that the administration has done here is they've cleaned up the place, right? The streets are clean. There is access to water and lights everywhere. Everywhere. The power is, for the most part, stable here. It is very rare that we have any sustained power outage here. And that's not like power with a generator. No, just like you go in your house and turn the switch on in America, you turn the switch on here, the lights come on, okay? Now, the power does come in hot. It's 220, not 110. You have to protect your devices. We'll talk about all of that stuff in another video. But as we're talking about the administration, I can tell you that everybody from the village to the city has power. They've done things to level the field here. So everybody got lights. Everybody's got water. They've cleaned up the city in terms of taking the local vendors, micro businesses, and created government-built and sponsored marketplaces, indoor markets, so that everybody, the vendors have stalls, there are bathroom facilities in there, there's running water, you're not having food and things being sold in squalor, you're not walking through trash or unclean water and things like that. That's not happening here. We don't have police checkpoints where you have to stop every other junction down the road and let the police look in your car. They're not rubbing their fingers for you to give them show some love or things like that. Those are jailable offenses here. Those are jailable offenses, both for you and for the officer. So when we say that they're traffic cops outside, they're legit traffic cops. They're looking to make sure people are driving proper, that you don't have too many people riding on the bike, that folks have helmets, that the drivers are documented, right? Unless you break a traffic law, the police don't stop you for nothing here. They wave the traffic on, keep it moving, keep it going, let's go. When the lights change, they're doing the traffic cop thing. Go, go, go. Get it moving. They're monitoring and making sure people are doing what they're supposed to do. But they're not out just because you see a cop on the corner. You got to stop and let them come and search your car and look in and ask you where you're going and what you're doing and give them some money. That does not happen here. That's part of the anti-corruption. You cannot put cash in anybody's hand officially for official services here. Government services, professional services, you cannot just pay somebody in cash. You can pay your landlord in cash. You can pay the local vendor in cash. When you go shop at the stores, you can pay them in cash. But if you're getting official services here, you have to pay electronically. You have to have an electronic receipt, proof of your payment, so that should you not get what you pay for, there's a large cybercrime initiative. The reason they require the electronic receipt is so that if you do not get what you paid for, you can contact the cybercrimes unit and show them your electronic receipt and proof that you've paid, and they will come find the person and get them in trouble. Everybody here has to be registered and have their national ID. I actually have my national ID. That's why I tell people I'm too cute for a jail suit, honey, in any country. You ain't got enough money for a Phoenix to be corrupt and try to take your money. You ain't got enough, because I ain't trying to go to jail nowhere, okay? That's the truth. All right, so there have been a lot of positive initiatives here. But just imagine though, y'all, if you were of the mindset of those old ways and all of these sweeping reforms come in and stop you from being able to put your hands all in the pots where you ain't supposed to and get things going, you're not going to be happy about that. Anytime there's sweeping change, there's always going to be someone that's against it. The currency here is the CFA, CFA, the CFA, Central Francs of Africa. Don't make me lie how to say it, but it's the CFA. It's the same currency that's in Senegal, same currency, Burkina Faso, I believe Mali, Niger, Chad, all of those are on the CFA. There are quite a few countries that are on that currency. They are Francophone countries. Yes, the national language here is French. That primarily is the reason that there has not yet been a big influx of Americans, because the national language is French, quite frankly, and a lot of people don't want to worry about learning French. Yes, the dollar goes a long way here, sis. The dollar goes a long way, okay? I just helped one of my clients get their apartment here, so their apartment will be ready when they come, and we were able to secure a nice local apartment, not the fully furnished ones that I've shown on the channel, but a good standard local apartment in a good area, not too far off the road, where there's businesses and all of that stuff. 1 bedroom, parlor, kitchen, bathroom, $100 a month. So yes, it's quite affordable here. The reason that there are not a lot of English speakers here is not because they're not local people that speak English. There are. Most of the schools here, even the public schools, have some mandatory requirement for English. So you will find that a lot of the younger people are are bilingual. A lot of the more seasoned, mature people are not necessarily bilingual. I think the stats say that less than 1% of the population speak English, but I will tell you that I don't think that's fully accurate. And the reason that I say that is because what I've learned in being here is that because up till now there has been really such a small amount of English-speaking Americans coming to this country, most people don't speak English because there's nobody to practice it with, right? It's not that they can't, it's that there's no practice. Many have learned at least some basic English in school. Those that have gone through collegiate, college or university level all have a mandatory requirement to be able to speak English. But when they come home, there's nobody to practice it with because there's not a lot of English people here. Right? I've shared this in my video, and I didn't understand in my earlier videos, and I didn't quite understand then why this was happening. But this is the reason, because there's not a lot of people to practice English with. And so what I was saying is that I find myself when I'm going out in the mornings, getting people to know me, meeting my neighbors, doing my morning walk, I'm constantly speaking to people, bonjour, bonjour, and they realize that, oh, wait a minute, we have. They look at me, English. They look at me and they see that there's an English-speaking American lady in the area, and so they take that opportunity to practice their English. So while I'm speaking to people saying bonjour, bonjour, I got people, adults and kids, yelling at me down the street, good morning. Good morning, good afternoon. Sometimes I walk outside and they're still figuring out the difference between good morning and good evening. So it might be the middle of the day and one of the little kids will be like, good evening. And I say, no, good morning. And they go, good morning. So I kind of correct them the same way the ladies correct me. The ladies on the streets that see me all the time, they help me with my French. When I first got here, I was like, bonjour. I'm from the South, y'all, you know. Bonjour. And they chuckle. After a few times of seeing me regularly, one morning I went out and I saw the ladies and I said, oh, bonjour. And they said together in unison, bonjour. I stopped. I looked at them. I said, oh, bonjour. And they both nodded at me and we all laughed. And I said, oh, thank you. And now I know how to say. There is a welcoming environment here. There is a willingness to work together and to get to know each other, right? There really is a lovely spirit here. There really is. It's peaceful. It's tranquil. Don't let the State Department notices fool you. Don't let the hype on the media. Everybody's going to do what they're going to do. Hold on, I'm answering somebody who is looking for the YouTube channel. Let me give them a quick response. Hang on, guys. I got some of my home people that are trying to get on the live, find my channel, get on the live. Quite a few of my folks that have been watching me for a good bit of time are interested in coming to the continent, coming to Benin specifically. And so that's also why I decided to do this live, so that people know that we're safe, things are safe, the atmosphere is very different. You know, guys, it's just like anything. Media, all of it, even these social platforms, a lot of times there is a sensationalism that happens that may not be completely accurate, right? While we did hear some gunfire yesterday in various areas of the city, there were not bandits just running all through the street conquering the place. I've heard gunshots regularly in DC. I've sat in my car in DC, in Maryland, just crossed the border, and literally watched somebody get their head blown in 2 cars from me. I'm looking dead in the shooter's eyes, watching as they blew somebody's brains out in the car 2 slots from me. That really happened. I've never encountered anything even close to that on this continent at all. I've never been harassed by the police here. I have been stopped by immigration in countries where they do that, because that happened in the Gambia. The immigration there will stop people. They have a certain time of the year that they just go out and round up people and look for folks that don't have their proper documents. And so they will grab you and ask for stuff. But for the most part, I mean, in Gambia, I always had my documents together. So even though it was annoying that they would stop and ask to see your documents, I always had mine together. So I've never had any real issues with that. The processes here are a little bit different, very easy, very smooth in terms of residency. Even citizenship process is continually improving. But the thing that I want to tell people is that you do not have to be a citizen to reside here, to reside safely. Benin makes it very easy for you to be a long stay resident. Yeah, it's dangerous in the U.S. It really is, and I'm not trying to like give anybody like use any scare tactics or anything like that. I can only talk about what I have experienced. Yeah, I've been shot at, I've been attacked. I personally have been brutalized by the police. I've been wrongfully jailed and let out with no documents and no proof of nothing. They're like, oops, so sorry, you could go now, and just made it go away like nothing happened. I've attempted to bring suit against the police department, and lawyers tell me that they wouldn't take the case because didn't nobody die. So, I don't know what anybody else has to make their own personal decision, but I've made mine. I'm not running back to America for no reason. I went back to America once. My husband had to go to Nigeria and I had to go to the States, and then we met up there. And baby, when I tell you, it was a traumatizing experience for both of us. I've never been a long distance marriage person. I'm not one of them LDR relationships, right? My husband and I have always been in the same place. We met in the same country. We married in the same country. We've always been together. I like our togetherness. We have a good union. We're good friends. It's a good situation for us. And so no matter what happens in this country or any country or on this continent, period, where I'm going to be is with my husband. That's where I'm going to be. That's my decision. I've done my due diligence with my family. I've done and so all adult people have to make their own decisions. That's where that is. Y'all, yes, when people tell you, okay, listen, that's the truth. Even as far back as COVID, they were putting out news and stuff about things running rampant in Africa. I was on the continent and I had people in America messaging me, talk about, sis, are you safe? Be safe. And I was like, baby, I'm safe. Are you safe? These were all political things. And we don't often use our logic. If you've ever been to the continent, specifically West Africa, and experience any of the local customs, you will know that communal eating is a norm. Family style, big platter, everybody. I've had lunch with my coworkers and there were 9 people all eating from the same dish. There's a way that you do it and everybody kind of stays in their little section, but 9 people eating from the same dish of food. They don't make individual plates for people. So just think about that for a minute. While the government was telling people, oh, COVID is running rampant in Africa and blah, 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 we wasn't wearing no masks. They were paying these governments to promote COVID. But in real time, everybody here was fine. I'm telling you about the communal eating for a reason, because if you use your logical mind and understand how society works here, how people eat, how they shop, how food is prepared, if COVID was a real thing on the continent of Africa, Africa would all be dead. Because everybody shares everything. Everybody's hands is in the plate once it's prepared. The cook prepares the things, and then they plate everything on the platter, and they go, and you sit it down in the middle of the table, and they say, let's eat. Or you sit down on the floor and say, sister, let's eat. Brother, let's eat. And everybody comes and has their section or their portion of that main dish. So if think about that for a minute. Some of the things that are being told to us, they ain't even logical. Don't believe none of the mess, right? So that's why I said, of course, the State Department will tell you, don't come to Cotonou or don't come to Benin. And right now, possibly you can't, because since this attempted coup, my understanding is, and I'm working to confirm that, but my understanding is that the airport is closed. And I think that's wise. They got bandits on the run trying to escape what they tried to do. And so, yeah, just like a shoplifter in a store, baby, they done locked the doors. So ain't nobody in and ain't nobody out right now. I should know soon whether that if that changes in the next day or so, because there's a lady here that that is supposed to be leaving, flying out. And so we're monitoring to see if she's going to be able to make that flight, if the airport's still going to be closed, or if she will be able to, or have to delay her flight. Is Benin close to what other? Benin is bordering, so we share a border with Nigeria. We share a border on the north with Burkina Faso. And so we're right there. All of those Sahel, if I'm saying it right, or AES countries, Burkina, Niger, Chad, they're all there at the northern border. That's why a lot of unrest there. And then we share a border with Nigeria, where there is growing unrest in Nigeria, right? And yeah, we're tucked down here at the coast, and there is a stable democracy here that is modernizing, that has found ways to still work with some of the powers that be, although, you know, everybody's not in favor. The answer is not always just kick everybody out and do it ourselves. We think about that in business for a minute. If I don't have to reinvent the wheel, why should I? And just because I don't like somebody or something doesn't necessarily mean that I can't do business with them. Them other people, they will do business with their mortal enemy if it accomplishes their goals. Y'all know what I'm saying. And they'll go back to hating each other later. Why is it that we, as black people, and I'm going to say black people because I'm meaning all black African people around the world, why is it that we have been made to believe that if we don't agree on every single point and stanza, that we cannot work together? Why is that? You understand? I've said it before on my YouTube channel, on my Facebook page. I don't care if you like me, but if you're in a desperate situation and you need help and I happen to be the person that can help you, call me, man. I'm going to do what I need to do to help you. You can go back to disliking me next week. I don't care. I don't need no new friends. I got friends. I got a husband that loves me. I got a mama who loves me. You understand? I don't need no new friends. I'm happy to make new friends, but I don't actually need them. I ain't thirsty for nobody or nothing. We support ourselves. Okay? But we are living through times where governments are changing, this world is changing. Some things seem to be crashing in, and some things seem to be a beacon of light in all of the foolishness that's going on. And so for me, I will only say that even if we've had beef, even if we've had issue, even if we've had an argument, even if you just don't particularly care for me, I don't really care. But if you are in an unsafe situation or you need to get out of America and you don't know nobody, if you need help, you need assistance, contact me. I'll do what I can. I've also said I'm not the repat Jesus, y'all. I'm not the savior of nobody. I'm one woman with a big heart, quite honestly. Sometimes bigger than it should be. And I do what I can to help people as I can. Even the things that I charge for, I charge a fraction of the cost of what most people charge for things, because my goal is not to get rich off of people. I have my own businesses. I hustle my own businesses for my own needs. My goal is to give people as much accurate information as I possibly can so that they can make an informed decision for themselves. If there is something that I can assist you with that falls in the realm of my professional services, then as is appropriate for business, I expect you to pay me. But I don't kick people in the teeth just because they don't have money or they don't have whatever. If somebody needs to ask a question, you can ask me a question. If you're trying to contact me every single day and ask me 27 questions, then I'm going to ask you respectfully, please book a consultation. Right? I have bills to pay as well. My husband and I are doing things. Quite frankly, we have a much bigger property than we need simply so we can continue to develop things. Do you say we have a stable democracy? Well, you're asking we. Do you say we have a stable democracy? I don't know who the we is that you are discussing. Are you here in Benin? Are you somewhere in West Africa? I don't think we have that. Well, I'd say that it's based on your perspective, right? At any given point, someone could look at a cup and say, that's almost empty, or it's the question of, is the cup half full or is the cup half empty? That's about your perspective. We as in Africa, I'm in Senegal, but I'm from Sierra Leone. Okay. There are certain cultures that have become prevalent in certain places, right? So as I said a bit earlier, there are people who are saying this is the coup season in West Africa, right? Military coups are not something that necessarily are a regular part of Western culture for various reasons, okay? But I'm trying to be, I am not completely convinced that the culture of military coups that exist on the continent of Africa don't also have a history that is rooted in Western interaction, Western involvement, okay? Because there are things that, again, if we watch, we all have a brain. And we don't have to be, you don't have to have a military background like me. You don't have to be a political pundit. You don't have to know all of the inner workings of every government to just watch what your obvious mind would tell you, right? If you are in a country where there is abject poverty, right? Where there, let's talk about for a minute. Let's talk about the Congo use that as an example. There is all sorts of unrest going on in Congo, and there is great poverty. Yet there's revolutions going on, and all the people got guns. Where they get them from? Where they get them from? Because didn't none of them people in the Congo get on a plane and go to none of the places where they manufacture or sell those weapons and bring them back to the Congo? Where they get them from? You think the West don't have their hands in the unrest that's taking place in the Congo? You think the West don't have their hands in the coup that happened here, or the attempted coup that happened here? So while there are forms of democracy, and so when I use the term that there is a stable democracy here, it is with the caveat that it is probably the best of what we are able to experience in this world, because I don't think America has a stable democracy. And in fact, I don't think there's a democracy that exists in America at all. That's my fault. Okay? I actually don't. But I am not also of the mindset that just because you got the weapons and the might, that you are automatically equipped to be the leader of a nation. So the mindset that it is only military leaders who are able to unite Africa, I actually completely disagree. I do believe that people have to be much more involved in the political processes all over the world. I've continued to say that humans are human everywhere. That Western involvement is imminent in most of these coups, but why can't we address that issue? Because this seems as if it's not going to stop. Well, I think we can address the issue, but I think that as individuals, it's a bit difficult to just go on like full, even verbal assault of the various different governments. However, the power of social media, I believe, is that we can all let these governments, all of them, all over the world, know that we're watching, that we see you, that we don't like it, that we can raise our voice, that we can begin to do things different. So I had a conversation with someone a couple days ago, and what we were talking about is the fact that a lot of people are waiting for the movement. Everybody wants to be led, right? Everybody wants to be led. Everybody wants somebody to step up and be the leader, and they say, we're gonna follow. But the moment the supposed person does one thing that they're necessarily not in favor of or that they don't like, now all of a sudden they're like, right? But the thing is, movements don't start with a big action. Movements start one person at a time, one person. So the problem that I have, I teach the same way with social matters and community matters. I teach the same way that I do when I'm teaching about money. And I say, folks be missing the bag, running and chasing the big bag and missing all the coins that they stepping on along the way, right? So as they say on TikTok, from the bottom up, I teach people how to make consistent small money so that you can live a sustainable life, because you always got money coming in, right? I teach that same way as it pertains to how we change the world. You can't just get on and change the world by making a video or whatever. It takes some traction for the governments to listen to you and all these things. Yes, they're monitoring, but you ain't doing enough. But you can change the world by how you change the way you interact with the person right next to you. Your neighbor. There's a reason that I go out and walk and speak to people every morning. Because I am reshaping people's perspective about a Black American woman. Because the media done told them that we all mad, that all we do is fight, that we're loud and boisterous, that we're disrespectful, that we're hypersexual, that everybody can just screw us from beginning to end. All of these messages have gone out about us. I could say, hey y'all, I'm starting a movement, come follow me. I don't need the movement to make a change. I make a change every single day. In fact, the consular chief, when I told him the story about me speaking and saying bonjour and the people saying good morning back to me, he had the biggest smile on his face and he said, sis, that means you're an ambassador. That's the biggest thing that we need. Those are the stories that we need to tell. That's how we change. It took me easily 3-4 months to be able to talk to the old lady that's at the shop right down the street from me, because she don't even speak French. She speaks Fombe. And the very first time I went in there to buy a small little sachet of powdered milk for 75 sefa, she couldn't understand me and I couldn't understand her, and we were both frustrated. But I learned how to count the money. I learned how to keep a smile on my face. I started paying attention to how other people respond to her. When I go there, I say, bonjour, maman. Now that lady helps. One day I didn't have change to get on the bike. Nobody had change around, and I had paper money and he only needed a few coins. And I went and I was like, Mama, I can't change. Do you have change? Well, it was early and she didn't have change either. But because I had built a relationship with her and she knows I live right down the street from her shop, she had her granddaughter ask me, because the granddaughter is bilingual, how much do you need? I told her I needed 600 sefa coins to pay the Kekano driver. And she went in her little thing and pulled out the coins and gave them to me. I hugged her and said, thank you so much. I went and paid the guy, went where I needed to go and got back home. And when I got back home, I had change. We went over there and I paid the lady and I told her again, thank you, Mama, thank you. This is how you change perspectives. This is how. This is how. This is why I keep telling y'all, if you're coming here, even if you're coming to Benin, or if you're going to Tanzania, or if you're going to Gambia, if you're going to Senegal, if you're going, I don't care where you're going, what I'm going to tell you is that when you get there, you got to learn how to live local. Be local. Stop being a tourist. Stop being a foreigner. If all you do is leave your house in a car, you're not making connections in your community. Most of the time when I get a car, we don't even have a car come to our house. We walk out to the main street and then we get a car. Because while we're walking, we're talking to people. We're meeting people. We're saying hello, good evening. Hello, mama. Hey, the kids now greet us. The children are learning to speak English, so the children come and speak to us. Hello, they high five us. My husband calls all the little boys in the neighborhood, my G. And so they walk up to him literally when when he's walking down the street, the little boys come, Uncle, my G. It's all about building relationships. Yeah, that's right. We stopped being local in America a long time ago. Thank you for that, Vern. People, hit the like button. Hit the like button, please. Right? And when this is recorded, y'all, please share it. Okay? We got to stop the myth of thinking everybody's trying to get us or that we all trying to get each other. Right? I make money on this channel by ad revenue. Ad revenue. Advertising revenue. Not by people sending me their money, but advertising revenue. That's why I ask people to watch my videos. Let the ads play. It's just like being on TV. YouTube is built like a traditional television platform. The advertisers pay for it. So if you're watching the videos, don't just skip the ad. Let the ad play. That's a simple way that you can help. Right? But we have become suspicious of our neighbors. In America, a person can drop dead in the apartment right next to you, and you'd never know it, and you'd never say nothing to nobody, because most people don't even speak to their neighbors. You don't know them. You don't know anything about them. Here, people know each other. They know each other's stories. They know they know the children. They know the elders. Right? And so the transition that we struggle to make is coming here and learning to live in community. I've heard people say stuff like, why they watching me? They watching you because you're different, boo, and they trying to understand you just like you trying to understand them. Stop being so suspicious of every freaking thing and say hi to people. Yes. So as it pertains to that thing, but to do so, okay, I'm gonna read this comment. Time for true community again. But to do so, we need economic purpose and sustainable skills that own that purpose. We do, but there's not going to be some big economic movement, right? The way those things happen is by doing the things that we as individuals can do. My husband and I are working to build our businesses here and to also create this thing I've been talking loosely about, and we'll be talking more about, the Oasis Diaspora Resource Village. Because one thing that this particular situation has also reinforced, specifically here for Benin, is that there's no central hub. There's no central source of information. There's no central check-in point. And so we are creating it. We're funding it on our own. Hopefully we'll get to the point where we will have stakeholders and members that will help us develop this place, a physical place that is a place that the diaspora, as people arrive, they can check in. It'll be a communal workspace. It'll be an eatery. It will be a media space for people to make their content and have a place to film and that sort of thing. We're going to have a bit of a community garden. It's small, but these are the things that we're working on. And those that want to make contributions, and be a part to help us. There are some few who already have, who've sown a seed, who've sent us some funds to help with things. We possess this property, but we are working on full ownership, so that there is a solid place here in Benin for African diaspora, check-in place, a central location. Because, you know, the American Embassy done told us, even though they have sort of a central network, okay? I have signed up to become a citizen liaison through the American Embassy. It's not a paid position, but it is just, the reason that I'm interested in doing it is because in the same way that my father said, baby, somebody got to go inside to get the information and bring it back to the people. I can't wait for the news media. I need to be on the inside. I need to get the first track information from the source. So I raised my hand and said, I'll do it. I'll be one. Put me on the list. Tell me what I need to do so that when directives or information comes out, I will be on the list of basically first responders, people that will get that information so that I can continue on this path of giving accurate, firsthand information from the source, right? Okay. Let me address some of these questions. How can African democracies strengthen civilian oversight of the military to prevent future takeovers? Should youth still believe in democracy, or are we becoming disillusioned by leadership failures? Whew, that's a big question. That's a big, big question. That I don't know that I am necessarily equipped to tackle all of that. But I will say that I will address that by telling you what my father told me and I why I act the way I act, or why I do the things that I do, and why I'm doing what I'm doing now. My father was one of the first black men in the state of South Carolina. That's a very racist state that I grew up in. My father was one of the first black men to openly and publicly join the Republican Party in South Carolina. He was involved already in the political scene. He was a councilman, and at one point, and a business owner. At one point, he joined the Republican Party. And quite a few people saw it as a betrayal. And even myself at one point, I cried. I sat down with my dad and I said, Daddy, how could you? Why would you do that? How can you be a black man in the South and join the Republican Party? And what he said to me is what I will say to you now, right? He said, honey, you will never change the world by standing outside, protesting and throwing rocks. At some point, somebody has to be bold enough to walk inside and sit down at the table. He said, I know those people hate me, but they're going to have to hate me to my face. Because whatever they say in that room, I'm going to hear it. And then I'm going to bring it back and tell my people. So we know what to do, how to behave, how to structure ourselves, how to respond. So that's my answer to you. That's my answer to you about the youth. I'm not going to tell anybody that we can't believe in democracy. But I'm also going to say that possibly democracy may not be the only answer. There are people all over the world that are in different structures that are happy. What I believe is that no matter whether it's a democracy, whether it's a socialist, whether it is communist, whether it is any of those particular things, I think that if the government leadership truly cares about its people and its constituency, that they will create an environment that is favorable not only for the goals and purposes of the nation's growth, but for the thriving of its people. Because if the people aren't thriving, it doesn't matter what the government structure is. If the people aren't thriving, if the people can't eat, if the people aren't living productive, if the people don't have a means to progress, if the people don't have a pathway from the village to success, to business, if the people don't have, it doesn't matter what the government structure is, there will be unrest if the people aren't taken care of. So that's what I believe. That's what I believe. That we have to ensure, no matter what the government structure is, that the people hold their government leaders accountable. It could be possible that people could be happy in a dictatorship. It could be, in theory, it could be. It could be possible that you could have a dictatorship or a monarchy or any of those things, and it be a leader that cares about the people, and they make certain that their constituency have the things that they need to lead thriving, productive lives. And guess what? Those people won't be complaining that they got a dictatorship. Right? It doesn't matter whether you have a democracy or not. It matters that the people can thrive. And so I'm not really here to be the rah-rah advocate for one system or the other. I have always been about the people, for the people, by the people. I'm the people person. I'm on the ground. I care that people are hungry. It doesn't matter to me whether somebody is hungry in the Congo or whether they're hungry in Bassa or Banjul. It doesn't matter to me whether they're hungry in Dakar. It doesn't matter to me whether they're hungry in Aja or any of the villages here. It does not matter. It does not matter whether a woman is crying because she can't feed her baby in West Virginia or in Niger. I feel all the tears. I feel a woman's pain whether she speaks English or not. I feel when children don't have what they need, no matter where they come from. Humans are human everywhere. And if we have gotten so desensitized that you cannot empathize with pain or with hunger or with problems or with challenges simply because of what country somebody lives in, then you need to go stand in the mirror and check yourself. This conversation for me is not about who's in power. This conversation is about what our hearts say. See, because these aren't political issues. These are actually heart issues. Because I don't care who the leader is if your heart is right. If your heart is right, then you're going to do what's right. That's what the people need to be concerned with. That's what the youth need to be concerned with, right? Making certain that those who are in leadership positions care about the well-being of the people. It is less about the political system than it is about our human characteristics. What's wrong with you that you can't be mindful that people in your own country can't, damn it, eat? That's what is the issue, right? So these are the things that I'm talking about. Well, you know, and in terms of God, God is in every conversation that I have because of my personal belief, right? It's my personal belief. But I take the same approach to that as I do even to political systems. And that is that until the day that we all expire, quite frankly, we ain't gonna know who's right or who's not in terms of what we believe in faith and our relationship with God, or to not have a relationship with God, or how we practice those faith practices, whether we are Christians, whether we are Muslims, whether we adhere to the traditional religions and that sort of thing. I care less about whether someone is a Christian like me than I do about whether they're human. I often ask people if they are a person of faith. I don't ask them if they're religious. I don't ask them if they're Christian. I don't ask them what their practice is. I say, are you a person of faith? Because no matter whether your practice is different than mine, if you have any concern at all for someone or something that is bigger than yourself, it will eventually lead you to a human place. I'm not going to look at someone suffering on the street and say, well, they're a Muslim, so that ain't my business. I'm not going to look at someone and say, I can't help that person or stand with them because they practice voodoo. Not me. I don't know about nobody else. And I can't speak for other Christians. Quite frankly, sometimes people in the church be mad at me too. Because I'm the one who will go in church and say, that ain't what the Bible said. That ain't what they meant when they wrote that scripture. That ain't what that is. So, yep, Christians get mad too. And I will say that for me, I have found my peace, my faith, my redemption. Me, Phoenix, in Christianity, in my personal relationship with the God that I serve. It governs me. It makes me a human to other humans. I'm concerned about people suffering. I don't care what you practice. I care that you are a human, that you don't treat other people crappy. And if you do, and you've told me that you're a person of faith, I'm going to question you. I don't care whether your faith leads you into Islam or whether your faith leads you into Buddhism. If you tell me that you are a person of faith and I see you being a crappy ass human, I'm going to question your faith. That's me. Period. Okay? Yes, sis. The fact that 3 different religions or spiritual practices coexist in Benin is a huge part of what draws me there. Absolutely. You can go to the temple of Python, which is the Voodoo temple, and then immediately cross the street and go to the Catholic Church. They're on the same street. They're right across the street from each other. In fact, it was the Voodoo chief that gave the land to the Christian missionaries to build that Catholic Church. They all coexist here. So what I can tell you is that despite all the media hype, ooh, there was the military coup in Benin and blah, blah, blah. What I can tell you is that on the ground here, people are living in peace. People are coexisting together. People practice different religions. On Sunday here, it's just like Sunday in the South. Most things are closed in the morning. You'll be a hard time trying to go shop early on a Sunday morning here. Why? Because people is in church. Yes, there are mosques here. There are quite a few Muslims here, and they practice well, and people respect their practice. You understand? And one by one, we show respect for each other's practice. When I see someone who is obviously Muslim and they're walking down the street, I give them the proper greeting, Alhamdulillah, and they return. It's not because I'm not betraying my faith by respecting them or honoring them. What are these lessons that we have been taught, y'all? Like, for real, I'm sick of everybody. We gotta move different, y'all. We gotta start being humans and global citizens. Global citizens. Yeah. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. It is loving thy neighbors. Yes, those divisive lessons. And that's the thing. So rather than looking for some big movement or some big statement about government systems and all of those things, I think that we really need to be focused on not doing what them people have tried to teach us to do, which is to look at each other as enemies or adversaries. We have very similar goals. And quite frankly, if you're talking about the real grassroots level, humans are human. I don't know nobody in no country that doesn't want their family to have a decent life. I don't know any mother that doesn't want their children to thrive or be educated or have better advantages than they have had. Isn't that what we want? Why do we think that some other person wouldn't want that same thing? If you go and find the most remote tribe, you will still find within that system They take great joy in their children achieving certain levels of success. Those successes may look very different than what our Western world tells us success is, but that don't mean that they don't have the same standard or desire for success, to thrive, to have happy and fruitful lives. Those are human qualities. That ain't got nothing to do with government systems. So let us be human. Let us help. Right? Let me be real frank. In America, we can see somebody hungry and walk past them. Those are heart issues. Okay? Here, if you see somebody hungry, somebody gonna give them a little bit of rice, a piece of bread, some money to get some food. Sometimes we'll buy some extra food and just give it to the person. These are heart issues, beloveds. Right? So while I came here to tell you guys about the coup attempt, and to let you know that we're safe, that we are back to normal activities, we are monitoring and will be monitoring as we move closer into the election time. But I can tell you that unrest is expected. And this particular attempt, the only thing that was kind of shocking about it is that it happened a bit earlier than the powers that be expected it to happen. They've been watching, and they kind of expected that there would be some attempt at something, but they expected it to be like in the next year, a little bit closer, because the elections aren't until April. So that was the surprise, that this kind of jumped off a bit earlier. But they've been watching and paying attention. Quite a few countries are watching and paying attention. Surrounding countries that are mad even that Benin hasn't jumped into the thick of things, right? And so even amongst ourselves, meaning this particular continent, everybody's not always going to be in agreement, right? During the time of Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, there are those who would tell you that they weren't necessarily always in agreement. Martin Luther King was the let's go forward in peaceful resistance. Malcolm X was like, let's knock him in the head. Let's fight him back, right? And to be perfectly honest with you, some of both of that was necessary. You see? Sometimes you gotta knock some, okay, I'll make it real personal, just on a very individualistic way. When I was in high school, I've always been short. I'm as tall as I've ever been now, and I still, if I stretch myself and reach real high, I might make 5'2". I might make 5'2". So I'm short. And of course, I was a tiny little thing, probably 100 pounds soaking wet, okay? But I've always been a scrapper, okay? And I've always been a girl with a big mouth. Okay, and so if something was to ever jump off, people were going to probably usually come for me because I was little, and quite frankly, the bullies thought they could beat me, right? And so I got in a lot of fights because I wasn't backing down off of nobody. But there came a time where I realized that I stopped a few people from trying me because I decided to become the aggressor a little bit. I had a phase in my teenage years where I turned into the one who would just randomly knock somebody upside the head. I would hear the rumors of the person who said they was coming to get me, or they was gonna beat me up, or they didn't like me or whatever, and I would catch them off guard and just beat the hell out of them before they realized what happened to them, because I was Because I knew that I was small, and if the average person came at me with a physical altercation, chances were that they would beat me because they was bigger than me. So the people that I knew who was coming to get me, boom, I got them. I got at them. And because I laid them out, it made quite a few of the other people say, hold on a minute, wait a minute, we might want to, that little red girl, you know, in the South, they call you red bone. That little red bone, that yellow girl in our Gullah Beach, that yellow girl is a little crazy over there. I turned into the Tasmanian devil for a little bit, okay, and just started knocking heads so people would know I wasn't no punk. And then folks stopped messing with me. And my mama and my daddy got upset with me one time, and they was like, why you always fighting? Why can't you just walk away? And I remember saying to my daddy, I'm not going to walk away because the people who avoid the bullies get picked on their whole life. If they're going to beat me up, they're going to have to beat me up right now because I'm not going nowhere. I'm not running from nobody. If we're going to fight, we're going to fight right now. So when somebody would invite me to a fight, I'd be like, you ready? Or they would say, I'm going to get you. And before they got the you out their mouth, bam, I done clocked them because you ain't about to get me. I'm going to get them first, right? I was a scrapper. Yes, you understand? Now, I'm a grown old lady now. I don't do that no more most of the time. But I will tell you that on any given day, if anybody makes me feel threatened, I always got a blunt object nearby. Because you ain't about to get me, period. And I'm not about to run from nobody. Not on no day, not never. Okay? That's me. But everybody ain't like that. So I help people. If you need to go, if you need to escape, if you need to, I contacted all of the ladies, the few that are here, when the things were going on, and I said, hey, if you are by yourself and you feel unsafe or you need somebody to come get you or you need to be right in a place, if you're having anxiety, if you need to get where there's somebody and you need us to come get you, yeah, me and my husband run rescue missions. We do. Because that's what I do. That's why we launched Harriet's Place. That's why we're doing the Oasis Diaspora Resource Village. So there's a central place. Because there is no central place that is watching out for us. Y'all know what I'm saying, us. I got on the list for the American Embassy so that I could be tapped into the first set of information that comes out. Not because I expect the American Embassy to do anything to help us, because they're not going to. But I'm going to always help myself, help ourselves, and help my people, because that's what I do. And I don't need a movement to do that. I don't need all the resources. It would be nice to have people assist and to help fund the things that we're doing. But I'm not going to be the one to sit back and be like, I ain't got no money, so I can't help nobody. Because I work, I have businesses. I'm always going to have some money. And part of me living on this continent is that money conversion, as people talked about, US dollars to CFA, is always going to give me just a slight bit more resources than the average local person. That's why y'all should be paying attention to Phoenix. Because you don't have to have, you ain't got to sell your house and mortgage all your stuff and sell all your properties and then come here and then still run out of money. You understand, as a lot of people have done, because they say, oh, there's no way to make money. Yes, there is. There's ways to make money. But you gotta change your Western mindset and stop focusing on big ball and shot calling, chasing the bag, and learn sustainability. And learn that a little bit of money converts to a lot more money here. So I don't actually have to work hard for us to sustain ourselves. My husband makes money locally. I make some money online in terms of the consulting and the business services that I do, selling my merchandise, designing differently. I looked at everything. If something as simple as having a power converter to run my sewing machine, something that somebody is helping me with because I had to get a larger step down to be able to run my sewing machine. So it's been a minute since I've been able to actually sit down physically and make something. That's why y'all haven't seen me sewing yet. But that don't mean that I stopped designing. I didn't. I have several shops online. I made myself shift from physical touching the fabric to creating my designs digitally and working with production partners and delivering merchandise all over the world. You understand? So you learn how to work differently. Thank you so much. Yes. Oh, so how prepared is Benin's democratic system to confront a crisis like this? Although you said the situation is stable right now because you've had over 4 coups now. There's been several coups here. There's been several coups here. Benin has also a history of coups. But they've always been shut down. And just like, so let's talk about the both of it. This is why I believe in building bridges, okay? Who is that? World Shine Collective. Let me talk to you for a moment. This is the reason why I am constantly delivering the message of us building bridges, right? People think that because, let me get into a little bit deep. Because the transatlantic slave trade happened, that slavery happened, that it is only the U.S. American who needs to shift their mindset. That we were taken away and indoctrinated and all of those things. And yes, that's true. But as I've often said, 2 things, or even more than 2 things, can be true at the same time. So while slavery as we knew it may not have happened here on this continent, colonization absolutely happened and is still happening. And so there was just as much indoctrination and mindset molding that happened here on this continent as well as happened to us that were taken away, our ancestors that were taken away, and generations of that indoctrination and those messages. It's happened here too, right? And so that's also part of the things, the fuel that fanned the fires of division, coups, military overthrows. All of those things have been scripted in a lot of ways by the West, right? And so one of the things that I've often said is that, specifically being a part of the African diaspora coming out of America, coming back to the continent, in some ways it feels like coming back from the future. There are things that we have seen and seen the results of, we're on the other side of it, that's still slowly trying to seep its way into Africa. And a lot of times, the locals in those various countries see us as being alarmist, because what they've gotten, while they didn't necessarily get the brutality, they got abused in different ways. And so they often see people, the white Westerners, as saviors. There's a savior complex, right? And because it's like the person that constantly feeds you. If you're constantly being fed by a thing and that's the only way you can eat, you learn to love the thing that feeds you, even if the thing that feeds you is not good. Y'all understand? Okay, and so that's also, I believe, what is in large part by what's being perpetrated even on the social platforms and the internet. They would really love us to believe that there are these diaspora wars, that African Americans and the African diaspora are warring with Africans on the continent, or Africans just in a general sense. That's a lie. It's a lie, it's a lie, it's a lie. Let me tell you why it's a lie. Because humans are human everywhere. There's dirt bags in America. There's dirt bags in Senegal. There's dirt bags in Benin Republic. There's dirt bags in Nigeria. There's dirt bags in Istanbul. There's dirt bags in Thailand. There's dirt bags in China. There's dirt bags in Russia. Can I continue to go on? List the country, and there are dirty, grimy, criminal, corrupt people, because that's the human heart. But there are also good people. There are also people who care about their neighbors. There are also people who do right by people because it's right. There are also people who want to see people thrive. You understand? And so if we focus on that and stop feeding into the negative stories. That's why I don't respond to stuff. That's why I kick people off of the channel who's still trying to stir the pot behind stuff in the Gambia. I ain't in the Gambia. I don't give a damn about none of them people who got an issue with Phoenix from the Gambia. If they mad at me, let them stay mad, okay? Tell them I said, because I don't care. Go tell that. There's a reason why I don't respond to them people. And if they think they big and bad enough, well then fine, but they looking stupid. You fighting with air because you ain't fighting with Phoenix. You understand? I'm not participating with nobody who wants to be arguing for clout. What the hell do you look like being over 40 years old and you still online fighting with somebody for 5 years later from some shit that ain't got nothing to do with nothing? You look stupid. And we gotta stop looking stupid, y'all. You understand me? Yes, Pan-African Diaspora Global Party. Let us build the bridges. Let us be key allies. And let us stop this mindset that just because we disagree on something, we can't work together. I don't have to agree with you on everything, right? I don't have to agree with you on everything. Let us look at what our common goals are and what is better overall. Because the truth of the matter is, when you're developing systems, when you are developing order, everybody is not going to get everything that they want. It's not possible. In order to have a civilized society, we must have order. We must have law and order, however that looks like. And that means that everybody is not going to get every single thing that they want, but everybody will get the things that they need to be able to thrive and move forward. That's what working together collectively means. And we can't keep tearing shit down simply because we don't get every single thing that we want. If the things that I want impose something on my sister that makes life unfavorable for her, then I shouldn't have that thing. Quite frankly. And we have to develop that mindset. You understand? Everybody's not going to get every single thing that they need. And when you get into modernization of things, right? You know, there might be some people mad that there are new hospitals being built. And they were like, well, where am I going to get the money to go to the doctor? That's a whole separate issue. Because you don't have the money to go to the doctor doesn't mean that hospitals shouldn't be built. It means that in addition to hospitals being built, that income inequalities need to be addressed. Two things can be true at the same time. We got to stop tearing shit down because this thing hasn't been done yet, and work on stabilizing this thing and then developing the next thing and then developing the next thing. Right? It's very simple things if we put them into the perspective of things that we know. I can have the best sewing machine in the world, but if I ain't bought no fabric, If nobody's making fabric, what I'ma sew? Huh? You could be the best cook in the world, the best chef, but if ain't nobody growing no produce and there's nothing to cook, what you gonna eat? Hmm? Somebody tell me. You understand? And so part of the problem is my mama has constantly told me, even into this year, because I was having some challenges with some things, working through, and I kept saying, why don't they this and why don't they that, right? In terms of like some internal stuff, right? And at first she would kind of piss me off, my mama, because I have challenging conversations with my mother. What's one of the things I love about my mother is that I can push her respectfully, push her with the hard questions, and she will walk through that with me. And one of the things she kept saying to me that I would get frustrated with, she would say, keep your eyes off of other people. Keep your eyes off of other people and their stuff. Get your focus on yourself. Put your eyes on God. Stand in the mirror. You can't change nobody else. The only person you can change is yourself. And the way that we actually help other people is that we allow ourselves to be transparent. I help other people heal by being bold enough to expose my own wounds and allow people to see me heal in front of them. It is because I am willing to heal in front of other people that those people are inspired to heal. You got to do it, not just talk about it. That's part of the problem in this world, is that there's too many talking heads and not enough doers. Okay? That's part of the problem. When we as individuals are willing to do it and allow other people to see us do it, right? We are inspired by humanity, by the little lady over in her community all by herself that gets up every day and cooks food and feeds people and don't know when the pot's gonna finish, but somehow she continues to get more. And then when people realize she's feeding people that don't have, then they start bringing her stuff to help. They might not be inspired to get up and cook the food, but they see what she's doing, and so they start sending her supplies. That's what happened with me in Atlanta. I started teaching sewing lessons to people that couldn't afford to come to the expensive studio where I was teaching. So I opened up my dining room and let people in the hood come to my dining room Saturday mornings and learn how to sew, because I could teach them in a short amount of time how to make something that they could turn into money and be able to help their family. It was after I was doing it that other women saw what I was doing and they said, let us help you, okay? And people of all races, old white ladies, women of all races started pulling up to my house and unloading the trunk of their cars saying, Phoenix, Rain, I got something for you. Let me help you. And they brought me fabric and they brought me extra sewing machines and they brought supplies because they knew I was teaching people for free. And I didn't have no money, but I just stepped out on faith and said, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. It's like the woman with the oil and the vessel of oil, and God told her to go pour out the oil. And every time the vessel got empty, somehow it got filled up again. I'm not here to tell nobody that they should be a Christian like me. I'm not here to bash Islam or any of those things. But what I am here to tell you is that if you have any faith at all above yourself, you should learn how to be human. That we have to help each other. One person and one person. Stop looking for the damn movement. Stop expecting the government to fix everything and be a freaking person. Be a human. Feed somebody because they hungry, period. That's the end of the damn sentence. Pay somebody's light bill because their lights are off and you got the money. It don't matter whether you should, whether you oughta, whether they're entitled to, whether they deserve. Do it because it's necessary. That's the end of the damn sentence. what I'm talking about. We keep talking about, we need to unify. We need to unify. We need to unify. But that only exists in our keyboard thumping. It don't actually exist in our real lives, because unification stops when you stop typing on that keyboard. Because don't nobody actually get up and go do nothing to unify with one person. One person. Everybody waiting on the leader. Everybody want to fly their ass to Burkina Faso because they see a uprising of someone that they think is a leader, and they want to follow that because they want to be led. But don't nobody want to do nothing without somebody else telling them, right? I've often said it. Everybody want to be a savior. Everybody wants a savior. Everybody wants a savior, but don't nobody want to die. Everybody wants a savior, but don't nobody want to die. Everybody wants to be a leader. Everybody want to be the pastor, but don't nobody want to go to church. Everybody wants to be the boss, but don't nobody want to be the employee. Hello, somebody. Y'all understand me? So these are the things. Now see, okay, I don't know if y'all can hear this outside, but the sky has broken open and it is raining. So back to something a little nice. The season's here. We're supposedly, I think, technically just past the rainy season, but unlike the Gambia, there is not a hard and distinct rainy season here. It can rain anytime, as it has right now. The sky has broken open. I'm about to go let my dogs in real quick because they're out on the porch. I'll let the puppies in the house. Y'all bear with me just a minute. All right, I have let the puppies in the house. Hi, babies. Oh, this is the big one. This is the big one, Miss Sassy. Say hello, Sassy. And this is my small buddy, Mr. Noble. Say hello. Say hello, people. They are usually outside on the covered porch, but sometimes the wind blows and it gets a little wet. Y'all give me a thumbs up and let me know if you can still hear me, because the rain is getting a little loud. Let me close the window. Okay. All right, so, yeah, so I'm going to begin to wind things down. If you have any questions, guys, put it in the chat. Put them in the chat now. Right? Put it in the chat. Hey, Jesse. Thanks for joining. What's up? What's up? What's up? Yeah, guys. So, you know, here's the thing you should know. We are safe here in Benin. This attempted coup that happened actually was thwarted and shut down pretty quickly. That this is something that has happened before and that they were expecting as we moved into the election season. We have to know, guys, that all over the world, change is happening. And no matter what change is made, whether good or bad, there's always going to be somebody who opposes it. Always. Right? But what I can tell you is no matter what the U.S. government and those of you who are in the U.S., let me just tell you, let me just talk to y'all for a minute. Because, listen, we know our country lies. Does the fruit have seeds here? Yes, of course it does. Yes, it does. Ain't no GMO stuff being grown here. This is real African, indigenous plants and farming and growing, and absolutely the watermelon got seeds, the soursop got seeds, the mango got seeds, everything got seeds, the oranges, the limes, the citrus. The oranges ain't orange like they are in America. They're green and they're sweet. Oh, they sweet. Right? And so, yes, you guys saw me. My body transformed from eating local, natural, indigenous food. I was a fat girl, okay? I was a fat girl. Contact me offline. Contact me, email me, and we'll see what we can work out, okay? I do send stuff to people. Moringa that is extremely expensive in the US is quite affordable here. I am tapped into a source. I can get moringa seeds, moringa powder, all of those things. I came off, I'll give you guys some of my personal story. I have come off of high blood pressure medication, high cholesterol medication, had a drastic drop in my weight, all by natural African herbs, teas, and eating local food. I don't eat American chemicalized food. We very rarely shop in the foreign grocery stores. I do sometimes because there's certain things that I really like that I can't always get locally on the local market. Very few things. But for the most part, we shop locally, everything. I get locally grown produce, locally butchered meat. Okay, so the meat is one of the reasons that I sometimes shop at the foreign market. And it's not about the quality of the meat, it's about the cut, okay? A lot of the local butchers have not been trained about the certain cuts of meat. They just call it all meat and they chop it and give it to you based on weight. But if you want to grill a T-bone steak, you can't go to the local butcher and say, cut me a T-bone. They're not going to know what you're talking about. If you ask them to cut a roast, a certain type of roast, but if you go in the foreign market, they have a sign at the butcher area that shows you the cow and where the different cuts of meat come from, like what we're used to. And you can see in the case that they've cut the meat. So you can go in there and you could buy a T-bone, or you could buy ribs, or you could buy a porterhouse, or that sort of thing. That's some of the differences, right? And so when I talk about building bridges and training, the foreign powers that be are not going to train the local butchers to do those things, right? They're not. They should, but they're not. But I know people in the U.S. who are part of like what is it they call the trade association for butchers there. I think it's called the Meat Cutters Association, right? They train to learn how to properly create certain cuts of meat and that sort of thing, right? When I said something to my local friends here about sometimes even the meat is the tenderness of the meat can be affected by the cut. They didn't know what I was talking about. And like I said, the foreign powers that be are not going to come here and train the people that, right? Those are things that we can do. Those are things that we can do to elevate the state of life for our local community. Learn how to live local. You understand? Nobody understood when I was scouring the markets looking specifically for red bell peppers. And so when somebody said, send me some seeds, I also asked people to send me seeds. Nobody has yet, but I've asked people to also send me seeds because there are certain things that we can grow, that the variety has gotten a little bit better. So like red peppers, the ones that grow foreign are larger than the local ones. They're tiny, tiny, tiny. The flesh is not necessarily that good. Y'all, I'm laughing looking at dogs. But the reason that I was scouring the market looking for the red peppers is because a spice that we use a lot is not readily available here, paprika. And I don't know if you guys know this, but paprika, smoked paprika, sweet paprika, paprika is dried powdered red pepper, red bell peppers, right? Either smoked and then dried and ground, or in its natural sweet state, dried and then ground to a powder. And so, I mean, I had a conversation with a sister here the other day because I said, I'm cooking me some grits. Now, y'all know the grit story has followed me all the way from Gambia because I'm a girl from the South, and that's my comfort food. I love, oh, you got a huge seed bank. You'll be here in February. Please, please, please bring me seeds. Please bring me seeds. Every type of seed you possibly can get, please bring me, please. But yes, I said to the sister, she said, what you doing? I said, I'm here cooking me some grits. I am still healing from malaria. I'm still having a fever, so I'm over here sweating. I don't know if y'all see my top lip shining or whatever. I'm still sweating and sweating it out of my body. And so yesterday morning, this morning, I got up, I was feeling a little bit better, and I was like, I need me some grits. That's my comfort food when I'm coming off of being sick. So I was like, I need me some grits. And I was talking to the sister on the phone, making sure she was aware of the latest news about the coup that was going on, that sort of thing. And she said, how you got grits? Where you get grits from? And I said, I made them. She said, what you mean you made them? I said, I made them. She said, what do you mean? I said, sis, grits are corn. It's corn. The only thing that makes it grits is getting the grind right. And so because grits, so you can't go to the store here and just buy Quaker grits. Now in the Gambia, they began to import Quaker grits because there's so many Black Americans that moved to the Gambia and everybody was looking for grits. And so people started importing Quaker grits. Right? And so people still buy them. But for me, I found out, I went to the market and started looking around because I know what the food is. See, the thing is, in the Western world, we've gotten so far removed from actually being involved hands-on in our food source that a lot of times we don't actually know what the food is. We don't know what we're eating. We don't know if we're eating the real food or whether we're eating plastic. We just eat what's there because it's convenient. We have become addicted to the convenience, right? And so we don't actually know what it is. But I grew up in the South and all my folks gardened and farmed and all of that stuff. And so I know what the food is. So I went walking through the market looking for the grains, looking for the... And so I was like, wait a minute, that's it. I saw something and I said, what is this? What do you call this? In the Gambia, they call it dugala. And there's 3 different grounds and you have to ask them, I want the medium one, the dugala. That's what our grits are. But if you understand grit, hominy, grits, cornmeal, corn, it's all the same base product, which is corn. The difference between them is in the grind. Whether you get polenta, or whether you get grits, or whether you get cornmeal, it's all in the grind. So I decided I want grits. I'm not trying to import nothing. I'm not none of that, right? Yes, lentils are easy to find. So I learned how to grind my own grits. I practiced it to get the grind just right. I cooked up some. I tried different types of corn. At first I went to the commercial grinder here, but they don't know nuance here. They just know how they run it through the machine and how it comes out is how it comes out. So I started just small quantities with a grinder attachment on the blender. I still need to get a better grinder, but I started grinding my own corn and cooking and practicing until I got a nice texture and consistency of grits. I now have grits. Now, one of my friends in Atlanta was like, girl, I need you to package them grits and send them back to America so we can eat some African grits. I might do that, but I don't know, right? We'll see. But because I know what the base food is, okay. Yes, because I know what the base food is, I grind things up. I make our own spices. And that's why I want seeds, right? I need to replenish my herb garden because I dry my own herbs and create our spice cabinet. Because if you understand things here, it's a little bit difficult to buy in bulk, certain things, right? Because the nuances are different. I came back to y'all talking about grits. Yes, listen, I love me some grits, okay? I grew up in the South, honey, and my daddy didn't care how many pots you had cooked. You could have eggs, you could have toast, you could have bacon, you could have sausage, you could have hash brown potatoes, you could have whatever. But if he looked and said, where's the grits? Breakfast ain't done. Ain't no breakfast if it ain't no grits. That's the house I grew up in, right? So, and a rite of passage for us was knowing how to cook the grits right. So I'm excellent at cooking grits, baby, because I had to be. But I was not going to be constantly worried about people shipping me grits from the West. That's ridiculous. Corn is everywhere. So I learned how to process and sift, grind, process, and sift my own grits. And so now I have grits and I cook grits. I'm about to do the same thing with mayonnaise. Yes, there's mayonnaise here. But just like I don't like all the mayonnaise in the US, I don't like the mayonnaise here. And let me tell you something about a phenomenon that happens here on the continent of Africa. Just like we got the cheap Chinese stuff that we get in America is still high quality compared to the crap that China sends to Africa. So they got worse, right? And the things that are available here that are prepackaged and processed are actually even worse than the processed stuff that we got over there. So I don't buy it. Now, I'm from the South. I happen to be particular to Duke's mayonnaise. Shout out to my girl, Janae, who sent me a care package and shipped me some jars of Duke's mayonnaise. And baby, I don't even let my husband touch it because that's my mayonnaise. I like Duke's. I don't like no Miracle Whip. I don't like no Crafts. I don't like none of that. I like Duke's. I'm a girl from the South. It's not even distributed all across America. So when we opened up the package here in Customs and I started dancing around about my mayonnaise, the Customs man looked at me like I was crazy. He was like, "What is this?" I said, "Mayonnaise, sir." He said, "You cannot get this here." I said, "Not this one. Not this one." And he said, "Okay, go." And I danced my happy self on out back home. Okay? Yes. Yes, King Jack Hippie. Yes, grits is simply grains and it's a certain size grind. Absolutely. But you have to know the grind. Because sometimes if you go to just the commercial grinder here, they'll just grind it anyhow and the grind won't necessarily be right, but it's not also the grind, it's the sift, right? It's the sift. You have to sift it properly, you have to get it right to the right grind, and then you have to sift out. Now, why the sift is extremely important, let me give you a little history about corn on this continent. Anybody that's been to West Africa and seen the ladies roasting the corn, and they think about the roasted corn that we have at home, and they say, "Ooh, roasted corn," and they go get the corn, baby, you are woefully disappointed. That corn is so tough, you have more luck trying to bite a cow straight out and chew it than you will with chewing that corn. Why? Because when corn was imported to Africa, it was the feed corn, the cattle corn, the animal corn. So the corn that is prevalent here in Africa is called feed or field corn. It's not the same as the sweet corn that we eat. It's tough, it's chewy, animals can chew it. I don't know what kind of teeth you got to be able to chew that corn. That's probably why Africans don't have the same dental problems we got. They got strong teeth. I still got to get mine fixed. That's a whole nother story. Okay. But I digress, as they say. Okay. Hey, Jaku, what's up? What's up? Okay. And so, yes, the corn here is tough. It don't cook up. No matter how much you cook it, that stuff don't get soft because it's field corn used for feed, not for humans. Okay. And so, but it can be usable, but you have to grind it down. You have to grind it and then you have to sift it because the husk that's on that corn, baby, you ain't never gonna cook that stuff to soft. It don't get soft. It will choke you up in your throat, but it ain't gonna get soft. You'll chew it forever and it'll be stuck in your teeth, but it ain't gonna get soft. No, I can't say that it's super hybridized corn. It actually isn't. It is the basic field corn. And still in its regular state. But that's why it don't get soft. It doesn't, none of that, right? And so I actually found a bit better way. I source out certain types of corn. I blend it. I actually even mix in some popcorn because the hull is not as tough as the field corn. And then I grind it and get the grind just right. I went out and locally sourced. Hold on, since we having fun, I'm gonna show y'all something that's right here near me. Sit tight. Go back. Let's go. Come on. I went out to the market and I sourced my sifters. These are locally made, but they're just sifters. And they have different, you can't see it on camera, but there's different sizes to the screens. One is medium and one is fine. And so I have a big old bowl, and when I do my sifting, when I do my grinding, then first I take it through the medium sifter. Hush. I take it through the medium sifter, and then I take it through the fine sifter. And I get the, hush! Stop it. You wanna go back outside? The rain has stopped and now they're ready to go out. Come on, let's go. Come on. Outside, go, outside. Okay, guys, sorry. So yeah, I do my sifting and all of that. I use as much local resources as possible. We do as many things manually as possible, the old ways, right? My father taught me that one of the most intimate things that you can do is to feed a person. He was the consummate Southern man. He always grilled. He always had food available. Anytime he heard somebody was coming or passing through, he always fired up that grill. My daddy fed people. When we had storms, bad storms in South Carolina and the power was down, we had a blizzard of the century one year and power was out for almost 2 weeks. We had a fireplace and daddy had a grill, and he went and picked up people and told them, bring your kids, empty out your freezer so we don't run out of food and your food doesn't go bad. Pack up some sleeping bags and all and come to our house. And he went out and got people and brought them. And people camped out at our house until everything subsided. And we kept people warm. We had a fireplace, so daddy kept people warm. And we stocked up the food, and he kept running the grill, and we kept everybody fed. That's the family I come from. So that's what I do, because that's what I was raised to do. Yeah. Yes, Jaku, yes. And so, yes, y'all, I'm gonna be getting off here too. It is 6:44 in the morning here now, and we're into daybreak. But you know, I just wanted to come and let you guys see my face, know that we are safe, that we are here. We're not hiding, we're not running around, we're not scared. We're not under any imminent threat or anything like that. Don't let the State Department fool you. Those of you who are planning to travel by air here, you may absolutely have to monitor when the airport opens and that sort of thing, right? But I'm not going to discourage you from coming because I'm going to tell you that in real time, living here, we're not feeling unsafe. While everyone was trying to figure out kind of what was going on yesterday, there was no time where there was bandits running through the streets and shooting up people and all of that stuff. There was gunfire, but we have also later learned that part of the gunfire we heard was the National Guard out and about, like just kind of in the air, making people go inside, getting people inside so that they could be diligent about addressing those who were actually part of the attempted action yesterday. Okay, so we are okay, more than okay actually. We're fine. There was never any time where I felt like, oh God, we got to get out of here, we got to evacuate, we got to escape. There was never any time like that at any point during the day yesterday. It was just a matter of there's something going on, there are people that are trying to take an action, and we got the notifications to shelter in place or stay inside. Stay inside so that innocent bystanders or whatever don't accidentally run into folks that are not doing what they're supposed to be doing, basically. They told us all to stay inside, stay away from the government buildings, stay away from the presidential area. In fact, if you ain't got to be out, stay home, go inside, do something else. And that's what we did, okay? I cooked me some grits, drank some water, took my medicine and laid down and tried to let this fever pass, okay? When we did hear gunshots in our particular neighborhood near our home, we didn't know whether it was the National Guard or we didn't know who it was, right? Well, we heard gunshots. I'm from the city. Even though I grew up in the South, I've lived all over. DC, LA. We know what gunshots sound like. When I heard gunshots, you know what I did? I slid on out of my chair and slid on down to the floor. My husband and I looked at each other. We said, well, I think we should stay away from the windows and we should get low, because that's what you do when folks are shooting. We don't know who's shooting and we don't know who's shooting at, but we just settled down. And guess what? Things passed. We later learned that that was part of crowd control. Nobody was shooting at anybody or at any individuals here. Apparently there were some like National Guard that went through and kind of made some, because there's not the same announcement systems, and because those who actually were the culprits of trying to attempt the coup, they had taken over the television and radio. So for a time there wasn't a way for them to make any mass announcements to the people. So they kind of sent the National Guard out, I guess, to fire up in the air and to make people go inside. And that's what they did. We all went inside. We all went inside and we stayed inside. And then when they began, once they got everything under control and the Minister of the Interior and Public Safety came on and let us know that they were in control of things, that everything was being handled, and that we all were safe and that we could resume our normal activities. Baby, the kids was back outside playing playing football. The ladies vending were back out there with their cooking pots. The taxi drivers are back. People went back to their lives. We were not unsafe, right? So there you have it. Yes, boots on the ground. Thank you so much. So, okay, did they capture the soldiers who were on the news? No, at least my understanding, what has been publicly released, and I don't expect that. Okay, here, unlike in America, they don't tell everybody everything while it's happening. They actually keep some stuff down until you need to know. So, all we know right now is that there were 14 people arrested and detained, but that the main ones, or some of the ones, the leader, that Colonel Pascal or whatever the name was, he and his small cohorts apparently had an escape plan, so they seem to have escaped, but that's why they locked the borders and shut the airport, so that they can, there's a huge effort to, you know, suss out those people, to find them, and to deal with them. What we do know is that what they have said publicly, listen to me carefully, what they have said publicly is that their goal is to apprehend those people alive. That's their goal. That may or may not happen. I don't know. That is government and military action. But in terms of the citizens here, we are safe. Life has resumed. We're going about our normal day. But there is heightened security. We will likely see additional police presence on the streets. And we have been told until further notice to just be mindful of where we go in the city, kind of stay local in your own hood, if you will. And if you don't have any need to go to the government buildings, which at this point nobody should have a need right now, they've basically told us to stay away from the government buildings and areas, okay? To continue to exercise safety, but that we have resumed normal activity. The local Minister of the Interior and Public Safety has advised all citizens that we are safe to resume our normal activities. That said, if we're looking for an announcement from the U.S. State Department or the U.S. Embassy, that has not come. I don't expect it to come as of yet because their focus is not on the citizens. Their focus is to support the goals of the U.S. government. So the U.S. Embassy here cannot issue any statement about the coast being clear or that we no longer have to shelter in place or any of those things. They literally cannot make any announcement that is counter to what the U.S. State Department has said. So right now we're listening to the local news and administration by the government officials here. The president has shown himself. He has spoken to the people. He has let us all know that he is safe, alive, and everything is well, and that they are all in control, and that we can safely resume our normal lives. Okay, so that's what I want you guys to know, that the Constitution has not in fact been suspended, the government has not been shut down, the president is not being detained, everything is safe. There was an attempt, but that was shut down quickly. So we are good, we are safe, all is well here in Benin. Those of you who are processing your paperwork can continue to process your paperwork. Those who are coming on excursions or visits, you may want to push it out a little bit, but you can still do that. As long as the airport, their festivals, I mean, the big festival is still scheduled for January 10th. It's gonna happen, so, okay? Life continues here, right? They didn't stop people from coming to America because 9/11 happened. So why y'all think we can't come to Benin because some fools tried to? They didn't stop people from coming to America when the white people stormed the Capitol. How is this different? Right? We got to stop letting other people tell us about Africa. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm here. Because I'm here, I'm on ground, we're living through it real time. I can tell you what the climate and the status and the feel of everything is here. We're not scared. We back to our normal lives. Okay? The children are playing outside. Yes. So there's a lot that's going on. Hang on, Jeff. All right, guys. We are, like I said, we are winding down. Our house is waking up. It is 7 a.m. I'm gonna let y'all go. If you have any other questions, please feel free to message me, reach out to me. If you want to book a consultation, please do so. If you want to know more about Oasis Diaspora Resource Village, please message me and please stay tuned. I'm going to be finished with the website very soon and releasing that. I'm going to be having one-on-one conversations with those who are interested in being stakeholders and helping us fund and purchase this property for our African diaspora community so that we have an actual hub and a place to create a connecting center for us, by us. I'm not trying to be catchy or gimmicky or any of those things, but these are things that are in real time. I'm working with some leadership, African diaspora leadership that's not here in Benin, Chief Fode in Sierra Leone, the Ashe Collective, the African Diaspora Association, who know that pretty much my husband and I are here by ourselves trying to do this thing and hold space for the community, and it's just us. And so they are giving us their support. We check in with them. We're talking with them about structure and, that sort of thing so that we can hold a place here. Okay, but those of you who are interested in helping, we have a lot of needs. We got an empty space and we still need to purchase it. We are in possession of it, but it needs to be developed. It needs to be renovated. We have to have all of those things. And so there's a lot going on. There's a lot of heavy work. I truly am here by myself. I will end this with a very interesting statistic that you guys need to know, because it looks like there's a lot more of us here. Even to me, I thought, it's a big old embassy there. There's a whole lot of people. I spoke to the consular chief at the American embassy and asked him, where are the Americans? Because I expected when they had a town hall that I would go there and I would see all of these Americans. Y'all, there were less than 20 people there. There were less than 20 people, and that's including the staff that was hosting and presenting the town hall. Of the people that were in attendance, probably around 15 people, I met 4 people who were citizens, but they were naturalized citizens. They were actually Beninese nationals who had lived for some number of years in America and gained their American citizenship, and they had moved back home. There were literally 3 Black American women, myself, another sister who is here and I invited to go with me to the meeting, and then one other lady that we didn't know. That's it. When I asked the consular chief, where are the Americans that are here? Where are the Americans? He said to me, you would be surprised to know that the vast number of American citizens that are here in Benin are children. I said, what? Yes, children. They are children of Beninese nationals who have lived in America and had a child by an American citizen. And so they've moved back to Benin, and the child is an American citizen. But there are not a large amount of adult American citizens that have, as of yet, moved to Benin Republic. So that's why people keep talking about the diaspora community. There is no community yet, guys. My husband and I are holding space and working to develop that community. That's why we come to you guys and ask you for help. That's why we come and ask you to sow a seed, so that we can hold space until more of us come, and that when we come, there is a central place that you can come to, that you can get resources, you can get help, that you can just sit and have a cup of coffee or have some food if you're hungry. You want to work around some people that speak English as well. Like that sort of thing. That's what we're developing, and that's why we ask people to sow a seed and to help us. And we show on camera everything that we do. Every sewing machine that I purchased in the Gambia, people saw me purchasing it, picking it up, and delivering it to where it needed to go in the Gambia. That equipment is still in the Gambia. So I don't ask people to send me money and then don't show them where the money goes, right? If I ask you to help me buy a piece of equipment, you're going to see the piece of equipment. That's what we do, right? So we are creating the village, building a hub, holding space, and we're asking for those of you to help us, because there has to be a place, a centralized place for information, for us to support each other, for us to check in with, and it's not going to be the American Embassy, y'all. It's not, okay? So there you go. If you have any additional questions, please feel free to message me directly, comment on the video, like, share it, all of those things. But we are safe. The coup attempt has been thwarted and shut down. Things are stable here. We're good, but governments and people do what they do. In America, or in Benin, or in Nigeria, or in Niger, or in Burkina Faso, any of those things, right? And so what I'm just saying to you is, as individuals, Let us look at our neighbor as individuals, as people, see the human in each other, and let us build community, global community. Okay? All right, guys? I love y'all, Latte. If you have any other questions, you know how to reach me. Okay? Thank you for hanging in here with me. I didn't plan on being on all night, but, you know, that was what was necessary. So I thank you, guys. If you need anything or have any questions, then please feel free to reach out to me. Okay? All right, guys. Talk to you soon. Y'all have a great day. As your day is breaking, the sun is already up here. Okay? So there you go. Talk to you later. Thank you for joining me.